I had to put a title. One more time.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't see it in any of the feeds.
We are live now. I see the big live button. So, welcome to it's basically a Sunday service that we're doing here for you today. Notes from a Billionaire. And I want to start off by saying that I had a call yesterday with a real estate investor, and I was letting him know how I saved another investor $1.2 million. And he just like went, so I want you guys to listen in today because we're going to cover some pretty in depth stuff. I have a lot of notes that I took. Um, as you can see from the title, this is Notes from a Billionaire. And I am always looking to up level who I am as a human, who I am as a business person. And Becky Eastup here is right here with me doing the same thing. And so we thought we'd share some notes um, of things, not just even the wealth webinar that we went to, but uh, all the stuff like decades, decades of experience that I get on a call with people and they're just like, like how many times has that happened to you, Becky? Like just people go, what?
They don't understand how the systems work. And so I love breaking it down in a way that people actually understand. How does it pertain to them? How can we map out their plan quickly and efficiently so they don't have to guess?
So let me just ask you one quick question. We're going to dive into these notes here, but why do you think it's so um, feels impossible? Nobody's told me that people aren't already doing the things that make them richer and pay less in taxes.
What a loaded question.
I know, right?
If everybody had the blueprint, then everybody would do it. The thing is the blueprint's just not being taught. And so we're taught to um, go to school, get a good job, and retire or have some sort of retirement from the job you're working. And that's like the old school model that everybody's just kind of conditioned to believe. I saw somewhere on something today that said, we go to school for 12 years, and by the time we get out, we're conditioned to work a job, and so we don't think that there's something else possible even. And then somehow something gets screwed up in our life, and then we feel like a total failure, and we don't get back up. And sometimes it takes us longer to get back up every time, even though we were taught as a child that they don't even think about it. And so maybe we should start thinking more like children and being adults at the same time. So be busy adulting or become adultier, as somebody put it to me. They wanted to be more adultier. And so I think everything should lead to creating a residual income. Everything that we do should be in order to create a residual income. And if we would start thinking that way, we might spend our time studying and lifting each other up to get to our next levels.
Absolutely. And just so everybody knows, I when I read why the school system was created, I about fell out of my chair because we all think it's normal, our school system. It's not. We were actually like born to be creatives. We were born to be entrepreneurs, if you will. We have just been shut down as a society. And guess who started that? The Rockefellers. So they realized that people were out of control. The kids were out of control while the parents were at work. They had no place to put them, number one. And so his entrepreneurial mind, and this is how the whole world has been created, is by entrepreneurs, right? Literally, you can call God an entrepreneur. He created everything, right? But so he created a system, and of course he funded it. So we all listened, right, back in the day, to create people that create workers, right, that sat still, that obeyed, that got in line, that only spoke unless spoken to. He created that system so he would have better workers. I mean, it's genius what he did, but does that help us? No. No. We lost our creative mind. And so, just to play on what you were saying, Becky, about we should think more like children, where we just like go and like imagine and have all of these great ideas as kids. And it isn't until, a human, an older adult, like shuts us down that we go, oh, I guess I'm not supposed to do that, and we just get in our little way of society. So I just wanted to hit on that real quick, and also the call that I had yesterday in just blowing this gentleman's mind about, his LLC, and you shouldn't own anything. You should look broke on paper. Your how to set up your companies, and pay less in taxes, and cut your mortgage. Like, he was just like, what and what and what and what. Like, so this is why I wanted to really bring this to the table, Becky. Becky and I actually decided that we wanted to share it with you. And Becky here today is like, oh my God, let's jump on and help people understand that they can do it too, right? And you don't have to conform to societal ways. So with that being said, one of the one notes that I took down is most people don't even have a money problem. They have an income flow problem. So how many of you have an income flow problem? Like, go ahead and tell us in the comments. Becky, if you could see the comments in the group, if before I see them, by all means jump in, because we want to make sure everyone is seen and heard. And that, do you guys know what your biggest expense is? What is your biggest expense? We're going to go over that today too. And then this one we already covered because we're so bent on it. It's you've been taught to work hard and save and multiply income and reduce taxes. So how many of you here would like to pay less in taxes? Like, I almost feel like these are silly questions, because who would want to pay any taxes ever? But in the same breath, everybody does. Everybody has to pay taxes. And I think this is where some people get it twisted. They're like, the rich should pay more. They should pay their share. By all means, they pay their share. Honey, let me just tell you, they pay their share in other ways. And if you guys read tax law like I have, it's like 80,000 pages. I didn't read it verbatim, okay? I used to be licensed and prepare taxes and ended up training on taxes. So I get where it's coming from. And believe it or not, the tax law is written for you, not against you. And all the rich have done is follow the tax law loopholes so that they can pay zero. Now they file, don't get me wrong, they file, but because all of the loopholes that are in the tax law, which you could do too, anybody can, leaves them to zero. Is follow the tax law loopholes.
That's me. Sorry.
That's true. You found us. Nice. Okay.
Trying to see if there was comments yet. I think people should start chiming in and saying what they're thinking.
Yeah, where you're chiming in from. And let us know if you agree or disagree too, because we want to hear it on all sides. Mm-hmm. So if you have any questions on anything so far, what we covered, go ahead, chime in. But also I wanted to state about, we're going to talk about investing as well. Okay. So Becky, why don't you go ahead and just let us know a little bit about your Genius Zone. A lot of people here know me already. I'm already spoken to. In case y'all don't know, I'm the real estate wealth maven. A lot of my clients have referred to me as, because I don't just speak about real estate. I speak about the wealth strategy of real estate. And it's important that you get started in real estate so you can start building that wealth. Because the one thing that I learned in tax law is to be an entrepreneur and have real estate assets is the secret sauce to paying next to zero in taxes. And there's a whole bunch more that goes with it, but that's the secret sauce. You can get those two down, you're 80% there. Okay. So y'all know me, Joanna Wright, founder Bottom Line Wealth, helping women create wealth in real estate, get started in real estate, and keep more of the money they make. And this is Becky Eastep. I want to give them a little bit of, I'm super honored to be next to you and grow with you into this whole nother wealth realm. But just an amazing human being, and the knowledge in this woman, you guys are just going to be blown away. Go ahead, introduce
Aw.
yourself.
That's such a nice thing. So I've been helping people in the credit realm and map out credit plans on a very basic need. If like they are wanting to be a first time home buyer, all the way to business owners that are looking to expand their business and looking for the funding and seeing how that's all set up and how that all works, because there's a whole business credit side of things that a lot of people never even have heard of. And even if they do hear of it, they a lot of times believe they can't use it, or they can't figure out how to get it to go to get access to funding for their business. And so pretty much I take the subject and I nerd out on it until I've got it down and figured out and systemized to a point that anybody can take my knowledge and cut out like collapse time so that they don't have to guess how they need to be set up, because they tell me what they want and I tell them how to go get it. And so that's it in a nutshell. I started my credit repair business in 2007. The reason I started it is around 2007, 2008, I was a mortgage broker, and that wasn't the right time to be a mortgage broker. Banks were folding all over the place. I kind of saw the whole thing unravel and have a different perspective than most people. And even through all the different things like the COVID things and all that, like I see everybody's credit. And so I've analyzed thousands of credit reports and I can see where things go wrong in people's life. And a lot of people that have good credit and never had an issue, they don't understand that sometimes people like lose their job or go through divorce or have medical bills. It's not that they're being irresponsible. It's that life happened to them and they're just trying to figure out how to fix it. And so I really love showing people how to not spend a whole bunch of money trying to fix it. And I love showing business owners how to scale their business. And most business owners that come to me want to get into the real estate investing realm. And so that's why Joanna and I work so well together, because we know that real estate investing creates a residual income, which is what we should all be striving for so that we can get more creative and do what God intended us to do on this planet. So I love working with Joanna. She's absolutely amazing, has a heart to help people like nobody I've ever seen. And so I'm so grateful that she invites me to be part of her world all the time.
My goodness, we're like, what? Peanut butter and chocolate. That's our favorite, right?
Yeah.
We go together so well. So I'm super honored to have you here and helping out my my group. I like to call it our group because we're one and the same, if you will. To there's so many things that we support them with, the whole wealth strategy. But I want to go back just a minute and let everyone know we both started out as mortgage brokers, and I had to do a lot of credit repair myself, which I did not enjoy. In the golden thread I saw through a lot of it was just like Becky was saying, that life happens, right? But in a big way, like medical collections. Like, how many of you, if a medical emergency happened right now, that you could pay for it out of pocket, that you could afford to take off work, that you could, even 2 weeks off work, if not 6 months or a year, because it's something devastating. I want to go back, way back to my time when I first started in real estate. And it was because my landlord had sold off some of her inventory. Her daughter came to my door and said, we got to sell something. I was like, what? We get to buy this? Okay. And my friend down the street, I said, could you walk me through this? And I said, how did you do it? How much did you make? And can you teach me? And so she did, and she was a mortgage broker, and that's how I stepped in, was from that event. And then I just went full bore into being a mortgage broker, real estate investor. And then I lost everything in 2008. And the reason I'm saying this is because if you don't have the plan down, it could be lost, right? Because we all grasp at shiny objects. I'm not void of that at all. And it was like, ooh, making money as a mortgage broker. Ooh, real estate. Ooh. And how many people have come into this group and said, ooh, real estate. But how many of you have done the work to do the real estate, to build the wealth? And let me tell you why now today more than ever, I'm on my soapbox about this is my landlord back in my 20s had a wealth plan. And that's what I try and give you all. I'm trying to give you guys that same wealth plan that she laid out inadvertently to me when she had a stroke and could no longer do a regular life. She sold off some of her inventory that had equity that then paid for her long-term care. How many of you could do that or would want to do that, right? And then I thought back, all those mortgages that I had to decline because of their credit, because of medical bills, had they had the real estate that they could have either refinanced or sold and get the equity to pay off that medical emergency, they could have got a loan, they could have moved forward, they could have invested in real estate. So crazy to learn that. And so we're bringing this up out of huge experience. Becky's looked at thousands and thousands of credit reports to see the golden thread and where people really need us the most. And I have my own experience in credit repair. And so I just want you guys to hear that one of the number one things is having assets that back up your life. Should be the first thing in your brain. Because if you think you're working paycheck to paycheck and you're going to survive that, it's not sustainable. It's just not. It'll blow up somehow, some way. Life happens to everybody. Nobody's void of it. How many things have you had happen to you, Becky?
Lots of things, yes. So I lost everything in 2008 fiasco as well and had to start over. And so I had done real estate investing and then lost it all. And so whenever I came in and saw that I could give other people solutions and show them how to save money and not spend so much on fixing their mistakes or whatever happened in their life to make a mess, it really gave me joy to help people in that way and give them hope again that they could actually own their first property, their second property. I've helped many people own lots of properties because we got their credit straightened out so that they could do that. And then I love your ditch the bank theory. It's not a theory. Ditch the bank. In other words, you don't necessarily need a bank to be able to do real estate investing. And I love that too. And I love that we have and you have several strategies put together that we can become our own bank. And so that's what I'm so excited. That's what got us both so excited is that now we can show people more and more the calls that I'm getting these days as people that are drowning in debt in some way, shape, or form. And they're looking for a solution. And so I found one that cuts their interest rates in half to a third. They save lots of money and then now they can move forward again. And so, and we put together a financial strategy that they can become their own bank and then they can get into real estate investing. And so it all goes together. We just are the ones that have the knowledge to map out the plans for people. And so that's exciting.
If you could ditch the bank in 4 different ways, why wouldn't you?
Because you don't know how.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here to do, is to teach you how.
So the very first thing I want to point out here is, so real estate's great. A lot of you can't get there just yet. And some of you are already there and have multiple properties. And that's fine. We're going to speak to the whole crowd here. What I also heard from my investor call yesterday, it was a one-on-one call. He needed to, quote unquote, pick my brain. He was new to investing. Don't you love it when people say that? Can I pick your brain? And that's fine. But, I also want my time to be valued as well. And so I just threw a ton of value at him and he was just blown away. One of the first things I said was, how are you structured? So this is the number one way of saving on taxes is how you're structured. And I hear, and I'm not giving legal advice or financial advice today, so just know that. Please take that note. I'm just giving you the education that I have and what I've been able to help others with, education-wise, what they can ask their CPA, what they can ask their attorney. And what he told me, he's paying the most in taxes, and he has not saved anything, and he actually lost $35,000. So I keep hearing that. That's another golden thread I keep hearing is, I don't have a coach, and I lost this money. I don't need a coach, and I lost this money. I hear that over and over. Please get a mentor, get a coach, get somebody in your corner by your side to walk you through this. Woo, that just drives me nuts to hear that. It's sad because there was no reason for it, right? There was no reason to lose $35,000. I was on another thread where a girl said, I did my first flip and I only lost $30,000. And I'm going, and you're okay with that? So I don't know how many people here can sustain losing $30,000, but that's just not a good business plan. So think about how you're structured so that you can maximize your taxes. So that's the very first thing. You want to ask your attorney and your CPA, which are two separate ones, right? So this is some of the notes we got here, that they're going to argue. The attorney's protecting you for one reason and the CPA is protecting you for another reason, and they're not going to match. They're like two magnets that never quite connect. So I help my students to be able to go, okay, here's how we connect them. Here's how we make them talk together and make it customized to you. And so they can ask better questions. That's all I'm here for, is to help them ask better questions. Because most of us just don't even know, what the heck do I even say? So there is that. And then, oh my God, this webinar was so full of so much goodness. And business owners can write off things that W-2 earners cannot. Okay, so travel, education, home office. I'm not going to get into all of the nitty-gritties of that. But here's the other thing that I told him. He's got a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old. And I said, well, are they on payroll? And he goes, what? They're minors. And I said, oh, honey. Let me tell you how that could work for you. And I explained to him the whole tree of once you're making, you have your LLC, once your LLC is making six figures, and you can tax it as an S Corp, and then you can have the funds, once you create the funds to get the S Corp, because they're not cheap. You don't just go straight there. The S Corp is then going to help you be that company that hires your children. And then you could actually have, because you're a company, your children can have a 401k plan. And if you're making so much money, you can actually double back that 401k plan, right? So it's growth and growth and growth on top of growth is what I'm talking about here. It doesn't start day one. Okay, so, and then you're teaching your kids about money because they get a debit card. They get paid like an employee up to the tax amount for the year because they don't want to have to pay no taxes on that. But their 401k grows, right? Their 401k grows. I'm not 100% sold on 401ks, but it's a process that works for many people, okay? It will grow. We have all kinds of alternatives, but I'm not going to get into it today. But it can grow, and then by the time they're ready to go to college, they'll have funds to then pay for college. And so I did a workshop back in 2017, and I had this guy stand up, big burly guy, right? He stood up and he's like, I'm pissed. He's on the mic. I'm pissed. I'm like, oh crap, what did I do? Because you're always nervous standing in front of the room and training people on real estate and tax advantages and stuff like that. And he goes, you mean to tell me I put 4 kids through college? I could have done it this way? And I'm like, yeah. But nobody talks about it. So that's why I'm kind of throwing it on the table today, because it was also reminded to me through this webinar that we were at, and wanting to bring that back to the table and make sure you guys know that teaching your children about real estate, about wealth strategies, and putting them on payroll is going to go far. It's going to go far because then they get to teach their children and so on and so on, right? So I bring that to the table because when you're leveraging an LLC to begin with, sometimes you don't know, is that enough? So you have a separate business that you run for your real estate or coaching business or whatever business that you're, charcuterie business is one of my students just started one of those, right? And then you have whatever real estate you do has its own LLC. Like it's not one LLC does all the things. No, it's one LLC that handles your business. Your real estate is different. So there's like the active and passive side. I'm not going to get into all the tax strategy. This is just brief, okay? So don't get lost in the details. But there's an active and a passive side. And then there's what I like to call the mothership that like takes care of everything. Okay? So it makes it easier for people to remember too when I talk about the mothership.
Well, I love the mothership.
Right?
That empowers women. So that's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so once you can get down that tree, and I'm just, again, saying it briefly so that you go, oh, okay, I wonder how this fits me. And then you can start asking questions, right? So this can help you to move to the next level. And each time you move to a level, creates the more growth, creates the more income, creates the more strategy, each step is a new creation. Okay, so don't think you have to know it all. And that's why I'm not going to get too far into it. You start where you're at, right? But you start where you're at with your end result in mind. Okay, so what are some of the things, Becky, that you've seen over the years that people just don't understand about LLCs?
They don't understand how they can use it to build business credit to get access to funding. That's a big one. And Walmart doesn't use Sam Walton's credit, and so just think like that. Like there's many businesses that use only their business credit and their business name that they do not have to personally guarantee. And so just the same, you start it and get it going. But also the tax write-offs that they could be getting, how to structure an LLC to be able to write off more things, different types, different forms that you file, different things like that, which I am not an accountant and I am not giving financial anything. I just understand how to make sure that somebody's in the basics set up, and then they can go to a CPA and get the professional advice. Another thing is a lot of people set up a single membership LLC. And so if you are set up as a single, when you file your tax ID number, it puts you as a solopreneur, basically. A sole entrepreneur is how it's looked at. And so they do not like to give big funding on sole proprietorships. And so you want to make sure that it's a multiple member, and you need to let your CPA know that, because they have to do extra tax things on the other side to make sure that that stays all compliant. And so those are some of the big things that I've learned through setting up some of my own businesses. So I've had multiple businesses because I'm not just one thing. I'm an entrepreneur. So I have several businesses going.
Oh, that was one of the things that was covered on the webinar too, was
multiple streams of income.
Over 100 LLCs. Yeah, over 100 LLCs. So some of you are like, should I have one? Should I have two? I've heard those as well. I have 5 currently, 5 or 6. I can't remember. And I say that because people get stuck in the weeds of, I just need one, or I need like 50 for the one thing. No. So I'm not saying you need to get 100 LLCs. I'm just saying for each company, for each divided entity, right? So each industry, that's the word I wanted. Each industry. So if it's service, it's one thing. It's real estate, it's another. It's trust, it's another. Like all the different entities that you create, categories, different categories create the entities, and so on and so forth. So one of the quotes that I took down was, and this is not going to be a fast, live stream here today, and this kind of sums it up. The goal is not to get rich quick, it's to get rich for sure. Let me read that one more time. The goal is not to get rich quick, it's to get rich for sure. So it's the long play. And so in the past 12 months, I've acquired 134 doors, and it's not for today. It's for tomorrow. It's for the long play, right? It's to get rich for sure play.
I would like to add a little bit to that. I was talking to a couple the other day, and they have an automotive business, and they're drowning. They're losing money in their business. And she said, after talking to you, we're going to sell the business. We're going to get out from under it. It's too expensive. All the overhead. We're not making any money with it. We're actually losing money with it. And so that whole quote that you just said is to get rich for sure. Pick something that's going to pay you. Pick something that doesn't have crazy overhead, maybe. Make sure that it makes sense. When you see that it's starting to lose money, don't lose everything to keep it going. Know when to fold. Figure that out. If you can't figure it out by yourself, have a professional look at what you're doing. Look at a profit and loss statement. Make sure that what you're doing makes sense for sure for the long term. Because I've had to fold businesses that were not making sense at all, and I didn't do it fast enough. And so that's a really expensive mistake that could cost you a decade of your life or more.
I was listening to Cody Sanchez, and she was talking about her mentor, Bill Perkins. He said the reason why he's just short of a billionaire, right? The reason why he's so successful is because he takes fast, massive action. So from the point of idea, and this kind of plays on what you're talking about, understanding your numbers, right? From the point of idea, or even the point of, hey, I have the business, it's no longer working, making fast decisions keeps your head above water, number one. But he was saying he makes fast as soon as it comes to idea, he puts it into play. And before any of his competition has started implementing, because they learned the same thing, he's already done it and messed up, failed forward fast 3 or 4 different times before they've even started. So he's already ahead of the curve because he failed forward fast, already screwed it up, and tweaked it and made it better through those results. Because that's all, let's go on to failure. That's all failure is learning the data that didn't work, and so you can tweak it and make it better, right? So fail forward fast as you can. Don't be afraid to move forward and go, but what if, and I only want to do it if I'm prepared, and it's got to be perfect, and just get messy, go do it and make it happen. What are your thoughts on that, Beck?
I took notes too. And the one is that we try to justify our actions. And the girl that was on, and there was this thing that we listened to, and it's like, okay, list out 10 top things, put 10, 1 through 10 down. And then where are you spending most of your time here? Where are you spending most of your time here? Where are you spending, what is your top priorities? What are you spending your time on? It's been a while since I've done that exercise. And so it was good to bring it back to the forward. And even on the call, you could hear her justifying the reasons that she was spending her time doing these things versus, and justification, I feel like it's just another word for an excuse. Mm-hmm. And so that's where you become an adultier adult, and you quit giving yourself excuses to not do the steps that need to get taken in order to move forward faster.
Yeah.
So once you hear yourself arguing with yourself about why you're not doing something that you know you should be doing, stop and think through why you're giving yourself an excuse.
Yeah, and we all have the same 24 hours. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but the clock ticks the same for everybody. And it's what you do with your time that makes all the difference. And so I know exactly the thing that you're talking about. And she was like, but I have laundry to do and I have this to do. And it was crazy to hear all it just when you could see it on the other side. I've been wanting to say, well, I had laundry to do or I had
Sure.
to do this. But to hear it from somebody else, I'm like, God, that sounds horrible. Like, and all her money making activities were at the bottom 10,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, you're right. I reflect back to mine. Have I dropped in my money making activities? And how can I bring it back to the forefront was my thought in that. Because nobody's void of, and I talk to my students about this all the time. We get to calling brokers or doing whatever it is we're doing in real estate. And all of a sudden it's important to do the dishes.
Right.
And oh my goodness, it's a form of resistance, right, from doing the hard stuff. We were just having a hard stuff conversation yesterday, and a lot of people won't do the work. Why do you think that is, Beck?
Um, Sometimes you get nervous about picking up that phone and making the phone call. And that's the number one activity that people need to do in order to be successful, period. Hands down. You answer the phone, you call people back, you communicate with people. We're all in the people business. And so I am a little bit ADD. And so I get distracted easy and those shiny object things and the other things. And you think, okay, I'm going to organize it this way. Okay, I'm going to reorganize it this way. Okay, I'm going to reorganize it this way. And when it comes down to it, it's just like doing the dishes instead, right? It's scheduling time in your schedule and consistently doing the things that you need to do to make the money. And not allowing distractions during the time. Honor what you put down for your schedule.
She held up her phone and was like, this thing notification goes off all the time. I'm all, shut it off. She's like, I can't, it's my business. And but there are times though, really, especially if you're in business, or if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're trying to do your business from 5 to 9, there's a point where you have to like just shut the door and shut everything off. Even Alex Ramosi, he says he puts in earbuds, headphones, turns off his notifications, and just is straight with his computer. Shuts the window so he can't see outside, closes the door so that he can't hear anything over there, and everyone on the other side of the door knows that he's working. And he just sets a timer, and he just goes forward and handles his business. And then he's usually done about like 11 or 12 because he gets up really early. And then he has the rest of the day do whatever he wants to do because he did all the hard stuff first. So I think that was a pretty cool takeaway when I saw his training. But good points. And another quote that I wrote down was, stop chasing get quick rich plays. Get rich quick plays. That's what I meant to say. Start stacking income flows. What does that mean, right? Start stacking income flows. One income flow. So here's the bottom line, that if you take nothing away from this at all, please go create as much cash flow as you can at your already given job. Okay, create the earned income, put it into passive income, into an investment so that you can get and live off the passive income. That is true wealth right there, because no matter what you do, that money's coming through each month, which is why I love real estate. It's solid, it's tangible, it's not a piece of paper that can be altered on the computer. It's a tangible piece of real estate, and I don't care what roller coaster part it's on, it still goes up and down. It's always there, it's needed. And those are some of the things that I like to invest in, is commodities that are needed by humans. our clothes, food, shelter. Those are all major things that we need. We don't need makeup, although we love it. We don't need certain things, although we love it. What is the business side of it that will always be there? What humans need is shelter and food. So just think about that. If you're like one of my students is doing a charcuterie business, everyone always wants food, right? But she's also into real estate. So having the real estate or the business and then having real estate as the assets is where the tax advantage is going to come in. So, so own assets that pay you every single month, real estate, debt instruments, private equity, intellectual property. So intellectual property, that's something that financial wealth queen that you see in Becky's title there, that's intellectual property. And some people refer to it as your IP, right? What is your IP? Your intellectual property. And that's any kind of slide deck we've done or anything, my Ditch the Bank training, that's proprietary to me. Nobody else teaches that, at least not in my way. And those are great assets to have that will always have a return, right? That and real estate. What are some other things you think?
Well, of course, the intellectual property that we have is a GPS for your money that teaches you or shows you how to, a money management system that shows you how to pay the least amount of interest in the fastest amount of time mathematically possible. And so I say that so fast, but really pull that apart. It's a GPS, like the GPS in your car, that shows you in a few extra steps a month that takes maybe 10 minutes a week to look at all your finances. It looks at all your finances and shows you where to put your money so that you pay less in interest. So it's almost like beating the bank at their own game because, yeah. And so that's why you were so excited that we did a financial analysis, a free financial analysis for one of your investors, and it's going to save them $1.2 million in interest. That is a big deal.
Yeah, it was just a few. It wasn't like
it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't that she was putting in a whole bunch of extra money towards all this stuff. It was just strategically putting their money where the money management system tells them to do it. And so
without refinancing or making extra payments. I know some of you went there, and it's not about changing your lifestyle, eating top ramen and beans for dinner.
Right.
So if you didn't have to change any of that, and we could save you thousands of dollars off of all things that you have that are interest bearing, like why wouldn't you? Put that in the comments if you're like, hey, I don't want to pay interest on anything I have. I know that's me. Why would you? So if you guys haven't noticed, those of you that have bought real estate in the past, whom have purchased real estate in the past, let me get some proper English in here. If you look at your closing statement, it will tell you you're paying 2 to 3 times more than the purchase price of that home. And you might even say, well, Joanna, I got a great rate. I'm never selling. I don't have to worry. I don't have high interest. I got a 3 point something. Well, good for you. But you're still paying 2, 3 times more than the actual purchase price because it's interest over time. So I beg you to please send me a DM and let me know what your closing statement says. And then we can point that out for you and choose a better path. Why wouldn't you want to? Another student of mine saved $383,000 off of her personal and one investment property.
It's not just that though, right? It's the time cut from, because I think the one that's saving 1.2 million will be completely debt free in like 8 years or something.
8 years from a 30-year mortgage.
Right. And so now what do you do with all that extra money that you have coming in from those properties? You have a true retirement, a true residual income. So in a fraction of the time. And so it's just like using spreadsheets to try to figure out your finances. like using a map to figure out how to get from point A to point B in driving. Nobody uses paper maps anymore. So why wouldn't you use a money management system that's way smarter than us to figure it out?
So I don't know if you guys know this about Becky or not, but I happen to know her personally, and she's a little bit of a freak in the spreadsheets. Okay, she understands Excel spreadsheets like nobody's business. Okay, and when she says, just to clarify, when she says this to GPS your money versus trying to get on an Excel spreadsheet and figure it out yourself, she even threw up her hands and said, I can't beat the system.
Yeah. I tried to.
So I know you did. That's your personality. You're like, I'm a control freak. I can get this. You know, I can do it myself.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the same way. Not as, I'm not as diligent in a spreadsheet as you are. And even I tried to do it too. And it just, you can't. You can't, because it's over 4 million lines of code that no human brain can comprehend anyway. So when she says the fastest mathematically way possible, like, she really means it, because it's like light, done. It's already done.
You just hit refresh. If something changes about your life, you just put in the new stuff and hit refresh, and then it just tells you what to do next. And so it's so beautiful. Because why would you want to spend all your time doing that? And how much time do you spend trading? Like, how many hours of your life have you lost paying interest? Like, I can't even fathom how much money and how much time I've lost paying interest. So why wouldn't you get smarter about that? Because that's the one thing that everybody shies away from talking about, but everybody has to deal with it every single day in every single decision that you make, every single one of them. And so if you could have a money management system that you could have, like, for the rest of your life, once this purchase is done, it's done, and you can will it to your children. Like, now you set them up to be financially secure for the rest of their life too. And so it's so beautiful. I love it.
It is. So let's go back to the LLCs. Like,
yep.
I would do this before an LLC. Like, if you're going to pay for anything, right? Like, so LLCs.
Get your money stuff together, right?
Get your money shit together, yeah. If you're in California, you're easily spending $1,500 to get all that set up at a minimum. And so here's where people backpedal on that, is they get that all set up and they don't do anything with it.
You got to get the income coming in first to make it make sense. Yeah, for sure.
Right? So let's get the money shit together so that everything makes sense, and now you know how to move forward. So when I bring my students on board, we literally lay out a retirement plan, reverse engineer it to today, and give them benchmark steps, tactics each week to follow, so they know exactly what to do. Like, there's no mistaking. They either do it or they don't, right? But they have the actual steps to do it. And so if you have the actual steps to pay less in your taxes, to pay less in interest, to build passive income, like, why wouldn't you? I'm just saying. And some of you may be trying, or some of you may already be there. But maybe you want to take it to the next level. And so that's my English is really off. Proper English, anyways. I'm just butchering it. Who I am looking for is that investor that wants to get to their cash flow faster. Right? Of course, it works for everybody, but anything that's interest. But here's where I know the pain is, because I'm a real estate investor. Because I have multiple properties and I'm paying a boatload of interest on it. Not anymore, but through the system. But that was a pain point for me. And so I want to help people that have the same experience as me, that have multiple properties, even if you're doing the BRRRR strategy, right? If you're doing the BRRRR strategy and you're like, oh, the tenant pays it down and I'm not worried about it. Wouldn't you like to get to that cash flow faster of them paying it down? Because the note's going to stay the same, right? No matter what the tenant is paying. So why wouldn't you let them pay that and then pay down that note even faster so you get to the cash flow? I see that for investors they don't really see, because we've been taught, just like our school system, a certain way to do real estate investing, and they don't know any other way but to go to the bank and get traditional financing. Maybe there's a couple of creatives out there, but I would say traditional is more the norm than creative. Even if you had creative on there and you're doing seller financing, wouldn't you want to pay that down? Just saying. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Let's go back to our notes, because that's what everyone's here to see. So cash flow is queen. Okay, appreciation is the bonus. It's not the strategy. I just want to clarify that. In speaking about real estate, I know I talked about a lot of properties. Just know that when you're investing, that you're not investing for the appreciation of it, you're investing for the cash flow of it. And that'll take us back to our original statement that is the goal is not to get rich quick, it's to get rich for sure. Right? So passive income is to get rich for sure. Don't bank on the appreciation, it's just a bonus. Okay? Let's see the thing on our notes here. Wealth investing plan. So we have a framework that you can go through. Do you want to go through a framework, or do you want to?
I want to stay back where you just were.
Okay.
Just for a second.
Sure.
The cash flow to get rich for sure. And I want you, because I know because I've studied your coaching program, so I know things. And so one of the things that I know is whenever you help people and walk them through a property deal, you don't suggest that, isn't there a percentage of profit that they have to hit, or you tell them it's not a deal? Like, what's that percentage of profit that they have to hit for you to say it's a good deal? Because that's where I tripped and fell in real estate investing. I didn't have a coach to tell me what to do. I just went and started buying properties and financed them the normal way. And I did walk away with cash whenever I closed the loans. But even one of the loans that I did, rent wasn't even covered in how much I had to pay for the mortgage. But I was desperate to get some extra closing cash money. And so whenever I put myself in a desperate situation, that's where it started to unravel. And so what's your percentage that you won't even, you'll tell people just, this isn't a deal?
Yeah. So on that part, I don't work in percentages because it's different for the price of the home. $100,000 home versus $1 million home. If I said 1% or 5%, it would be a major difference in both. So in that regard, percentages is not, it's an actual dollar amount. So in a regular or standard single family home that is conforming loan limit, not jumbo, conforming loan limit. And you guys could look it up. You can Google it, conforming loan limit. As long as it's under that, then it's like $300 to $500 per door. So if you have a single family, it could potentially be $300 to $500 that you want cash flow that covers your mortgage and your, excuse me, not just your mortgage, but your taxes and insurance and maintenance and property management. So when my students come on board, we actually start with what I call the pretty number, and we reverse engineer to what that number is. And so it's kind of a flat rate that we want to see. And it grows because no matter what, rents go up. We've noticed that a lot lately.
Sure.
Rents go up. It's great for investors, bad for tenants. I apologize. But we have to stay with the market. And then your cash flow comes even more, right? So when you close, it's got to be at least 300, if not 500 in cash flow to make sure that your note and property management and everything is covered should something happen. That is the low level minimum game to play on that. So to answer your question.
Perfect. Thank you. I just felt like we needed to stay there for just a second, just because I know most people don't know that. So I think that's a huge nugget. You should take a note on that if you're in real estate investing, to make sure you're doing it the right way. That's what I love, because I know you as a coach look at all the contracts first to make sure people aren't going to get that $30,000 flip loss or anything like that, that they won't lose money being in your system. Anyways, what was the notes that you wanted to move on to? Thank
Yeah.
you for answering that.
No, absolutely. I'm sure it was helpful to everyone on here. Let us know in the comments if you are in here. Melody says, spreadsheet girl myself. Love it. There's the freaking the spreadsheets on here. Love it. Okay, cool. Hey, Darlene, how you doing? Kathy's here. Raylene's here. Good to see you guys. So yeah, back to like in pulling that real estate in, once you go larger, it's even more. I just wanted to point that out. And then once you do multifamily, then you get to like, it's literally per door in the multifamily. So just to button that up, not leave it hanging open. But what if this, Joanna? What if that? Okay, hopefully I covered it. So back into the notes, cash flow is queen. And then to think long term, right? So 10x thinking is about scaling financial certainty, not short wins. So we love a good win. I'll take wins every day. Like, I got up today. That's a win. I feel blessed and honored to share space on this earth, that I got another day out of today, right? Like out of my life. And because I don't know if you guys have seen the headlines lately, but they've been just disturbing with how short life is. Mm. Life is super short. And, part of me is like, did he have like everything set in place? I'm thinking financially, are the kids secure? Is the wife secure? Is it, like I'm freaking out, right? Because most people aren't. And I say that because even Michael Jackson took like years and years to settle his estate. There are so many celebrities that you would think because they're rich, they would have their in order, and they don't. I did a retirement training, and I put like 12 different celebrities that just screwed up big time, lost everything. And so I don't want you guys to beat yourselves up because you don't know yet, but it happens everywhere, all the time, everyone. And it's always the first thing on my mind. I'm actually on a farm. I live on 78 acres, and I could see out my window the chickens, right? And never before, just to give you context as to why I think this way, when you're in the thick of it all the time, that's the first thing you think of. And so on my farm, I got chickens that are free ranging, and I have a hawk that comes here every now and again, right? And so I got to run out like Ma Kettle, go with my gun, shoot at, get it out of the way, scare it off, right? And so I'm driving around and, just being a normal human being and normal everyday stuff, going to the store, I see a bird come by. I go, what kind of bird is that? Is he good? Like you're in your environment all the time, and I'm hypersensitive at watching. Is it a small bird? Is it a large bird? Is it this? And I'm like, wait, Joanna, you're not even at the farm to worry about your chickens, but just have it, right? And so that's what I was thinking with all this drama that was happening in the news. I'm just like, are these people secure? Are they set? And oh my God, did they live the best life that they could? The kids, the school shootings, like there's so much that has happened in this world. It's disgusting right out of the gate. I'm just going to say that. But that's where my mind goes. Is the family protected? Is who's left behind that has to deal with all the grieving protected? Because I'm sorry, if I was a mom and my kid was in that school, I'd be freaking out and I wouldn't be able to go to work. Mm. So that's what I'm saying about how passive income could really support you in your life. I just got the chills all over. Woo, it means I'm speaking truth. God's downloading on me. That life happens. And that was the first thing we started off with today was life gets lifey. And then all of a sudden you can't go to work. And then, or you have some medical thing that happened. I'm sure there was some injured people in these incidences that had to take off work and go to the hospital. And now they have a medical bill. And guess what? We're right back to the credit report that we started to in the beginning of this. Because life happens. Nobody planned any of that, except for maybe the shooter. But do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying fully 100%. That's why we're here, is to help other people get what you're saying so that we can move forward together and rise up above all the things that are keeping us suppressed as a society.
Yeah, to create that economic independence is, that's my huge soapbox. And I wanted to take some real world things that are happening today to plug into. We're not just like in theory, we're not just like, well, that won't ever happen to me, or, you don't know. You don't know. Cars are dangerous. People get in accidents all the time. It could be something simple like that. My husband was T-boned. This was years ago, but he was T-boned and taken out of work for a year. And so, like, you can't help that. He didn't create it. It just happened. Like, he was T-boned, go in the opposite direction. Like,
We have some strategies, right? We have some strategies to help with that or anything that might come your way.
So let me know in the chat if you've ever had anything crazy happen to you that, like if I had passive income, I could have focused. One of our business partners, her son was run over by a vehicle, and she's able to have taken off work and stay home and be with them. Like, that's a huge deal to be with your loved ones. So I can't hit that home enough. It's one thing to make money, and we're talking about money all the time, but there's a reason we're talking about this. So the framework I wanted to get into was more of, let's define what amount of passive income do you need. So think about your monthly, and write this down if anyone's got a piece of paper that they can take some notes. You might want to note this one. I know we've been in here a minute, but what amount of passive income would you need to replace your active income? And so if you can write that down and have that like on your computer, on your bathroom wall, I've even used a dry erase and I wrote it on my mirror, right? And then keep that in the forefront of your mind as a focus, because your brain needs something to focus on, right? And then clarify the number that gives you the financial certainty. So let's just say if 5 or 10 grand made your bills, let's take it to 20 grand so that you know that you have certainty. Are you guys tracking?
I am. Totally. Okay. I was thinking of the number in my head, and then you said a different number, and then it resonated.
Cool. Know your numbers. I'm just using these as an example. And then the next one is to build 7 streams of income, and only one should be active. And active income is your job or business, right? So both Becky and I do coaching. We have a service business, and so that's active, right? Passive is our real estate and reoccurring other businesses that we have, so that no matter what, it's coming in. Like, we don't have to do anything for that, okay? So active is your job. And so if you could put all your effort into your job, make as much money as you possibly can in that position, maybe even get promoted and do even a greater job, put value into people's lives. I don't care if you love your job or not. You should add value, okay? Be human. Be a good human. And then put that earned income into passive income, because here's where people mess up. You guys ready? I did it for years, so I'm not void of it. Is I took all my earned income and I used it to buy all the things that I needed. My cars, my clothes, my food, my everything. When in fact, I should have taken all of that money and put it into real estate and had that passive income to go buy my shoes, my clothes, my cars, my food, everything. Are you guys tracking now? Mm-hmm. So you still get to have all the things you want, but it's through passive income. And at what passive income number do you need to sustain your life right now? And then we can figure out that math. We could jump on a call and figure out that math together if you guys like. Okay, Sherry's here and Hilda is here. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. And then the fourth thing is to prioritize investor identity over consumer identity. So stop buying liabilities, is what that says. Robert Kiyosaki, and you know Robert Kiyosaki very well, Becky, he was one of the very first persons that I heard talk about doodads, right? Remember doodads?
Mm-hmm.
He does the cash flow game, and I facilitated that game for a long time. Like every other Thursday, we were doing the cash flow game. And in there, it teaches you how to get passive income and then use that passive income to buy doodads. So let me give you an example. If you want to buy a boat, which is a doodad, because it's a liability, it doesn't bring income in, so it's a liability. Get a house with that cash flow income that pays the note, right? So after everything's covered, like we said before, we go down, we make sure everyone's covered. You got that $400 or $500 over what the mortgage and maintenance and property management is, right? That cash flow goes into your pocket, and then you can use that to pay for the boat. Obviously, after you've stacked enough to take care of the house that it does, that it's coming from. But now you can take that and use that as a payment for the boat, for a doodad. Okay. And
I
then
love doodads. I think we should all have doodads, as long as you do the adulty or adult thing first and set up your money flow correctly.
right.
The whole
So,
point.
in other words, it's stupid to buy a Rolex. It's just stupid. It's stupid to buy a boat. But when you have enough income, you can do stupid things. When you have enough passive, stupid money, you could go do stupid things. Okay. And that's why the rich look flaunty. It's because they have the money to be able to do that.
They earned it.
They earned it. And it comes in no matter if they spend it on a roll-up. I told you my English is off today. A Rolex. Or they bought another real estate investment property, right? Whether they're investing or not. So you can't always go by what the rich are doing because they've already reached another level that you haven't gotten to yet. Okay. And then use tax strategies, leverage, and legal structures to protect and grow your wealth. Now, we went over that just briefly as well. And again, if you guys book a call with us, we can. We'll put that inside the notes. But we'll go over your whole strategy. Okay. What's right for you. And then surround yourself with wealth thinkers. Hey, we're your new friends. Right? Surround yourself with wealth thinkers. We were having this conversation the other day that if you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with, take heed in that. And I say that because I sometimes catch myself around a group that is not my higher self for too long. Now, it's okay to give value, love on people. I'm not saying that, but in order for me to grow, I can't be there too long. Right? So I have to surround myself with people that are so far ahead of me that I'm like always reaching. I have something to always reach for. But if I'm around people that are me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, God, 25 years I've been in this industry. I got to go back that far of not having any knowledge in this industry. If I go back to that, I'm pulling myself back from my wealth. You guys get that? It's not a bad thing to love on people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I'm going to grow, I got to be looking forward and not backwards. So
one of the things that I've done in the past to analyze that whole subject, because there's people in my life that I love to pieces that I want to be around, and they've been there forever. And I still love on them, and I think about what we talk about. I think about what they're talking about. I think about whether that's going to help me grow to who God intended me to be. And so sometimes I have to reel myself back in and that assets versus liabilities. Is this an asset to my time? Is it going to help me get where I'm trying to go? Or does this feel kind of like a liability that it's not adding value to my life so that I can add value to others' lives? Because that's what I like to do, is add value to other people's lives. And so
Absolutely. I was just going to ask you your take on that.
there you go. There's my take.
And listening to Grant Cardone, he actually will walk out of a meeting if he doesn't see that there's any kind of benefit to it, because he's so protective of his time. He'll shut his laptop into Zoom right in the middle of it. He's the way other extent of that. I'm not going to shut the computer on people, but that's how protective he is of his time. Is if he doesn't see value in the first 5-10 minutes, he's out the door. He lets his team handle whatever's going on there, because he has to protect his mindset. He has to protect his time. He has to protect his business, his multiple 7 streams minimum of business that he has. And you don't get that by wasting time. We all have the same 24 hours. So that's a little excerpt in that. And then Melody says, boat, break out another 1,000. Or as we like to say, since we are near some very large boating lakes, a boat is a hole in the water that you throw money into. Thanks, Melody. All right, cool. So, we've covered a lot. Becky, how you feeling?
I feel like we've given people enough information for them to just book some appointments, and let's map out some strategies for them. Like, what do you want out of life, and how can we help you map out those plans?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you are someone that needs a plan, and you're going, what kind of plan, Joanna? Well, it doesn't much matter. Do you want to change where you're at? Let's start with that. As far as money is concerned, as far as investments are concerned, and strategy to build wealth. That's really who we are as a team, to move you to the next level. So we're actually putting on a women's wealth conference. So you can ask us about that, where we're going to dial in everybody in their complete wealth strategy. It'll be a whole retreat that we're putting together that you can get away, be at a lake house, and it's going to be super fun. We'll be in person and being able to either start your business, grow your business, get your investment going, or get your money shit together. One of the two. One of the 4 or 5 things that we can cover.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to hear from you, because we have an idea of what we need to cover, but if there's something that you want, we'll definitely add that to the list as well. So let's put a link in the comments to book a call. If you want to do that, Becky, go ahead and put that in there for a wealth strategy. Okay. So to understand your money and some structure, maybe you're partway there. Maybe you have a business already, and you have business credit cards, you have mortgages, you have, again, we're going to start with your money shit. Okay. That's what I talk about all the time, is getting your money shit together. Let's just start there. Okay. Even if you have just regular credit cards, right? Like, we don't need your dirty laundry stuff. We don't need your account numbers. We don't need to know what you bought. We don't care about any of that. That's not my point. My point is, it's a number. We want to see the number, and how can we reduce it? That's all we need to know. The money number, not your account number. We don't want that. That's yours. Anyway, so it's pretty non-evasive. It's just a matter of talking shop and having a safe container to ask diligent questions. Even if you don't know the questions to ask, we have a whole question thing that we go over to kind of pull it out of you. to go, oh, I didn't think about that. Okay, yeah, I need that. Okay, I didn't think about that. And we'll pull it out of you so that you can get to the next step. Sound cool?
Perfect. And make sure whenever you schedule that appointment that you say that you saw us here. That way we know how to move forward with you.
Joanna told me to book. Just type that in there. Joanna told me to book.
Uh-huh. That's the one.
I do whatever Joanna says because, she's made people a lot of money. So there's that. And anything else you want to say in closing here? Because I think we've hogged their whole Sunday, the Sunday service here.
I just want to speak to pattern interruption. That if you feel like you're on a hamster wheel and you keep doing the same stuff and you feel like maybe there's a smarter way to do your money stuff so that you don't have to keep repeating patterns, and maybe spend some time today really reflecting on the patterns of your life that you've developed and how you can move forward to change those patterns. And so that's it. We are what we constantly do, and changing a pattern, a habit. Sometimes you need a pattern interruption. So you need a coach. You need somebody that can see things that you can't because they're not in your life every single day, in your head, justifying the things that you're doing because of this, and this. And I'd rather just go do dishes or laundry because I got to get that done before Monday. No, pattern interruption. Book the meeting today. Don't wait. Don't think about it. Don't try to figure it out. See, it's free to do the analysis. And so at least see what could be possible so that maybe you could have a way to move forward and make some different decisions with your life. It could change everything for your whole life and for your children's lives. That's my reason for being. I have a 15-year-old son, and I want legacy. From the moment I knew I was pregnant, I knew I wanted to leave him a legacy, and it wasn't just money. And so I'm constantly trying to up level myself so that I can teach him to up level himself. And so it is really fun to do that with a kid. And so it's really fun to do it with a bunch of friends too. And so I'm waiting to meet you and be your friend. That's it.
Come be your friends. Come on. So that is so awesome. I just want to leave you with this one quote here. It says, I'm done saving my way to broke. It's time to multiply my wealth the 10x way. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. My final thoughts are, I've seen so much. Melody says, I can only see the 2 comments I personally have. Oh, okay. Do you see the calendar link, Melody? Hey, Gloria, good to see you. We're asking questions in there.
I know. I posted it. Potentially, if you can't get to it, go to creditcoachqueen.com, and I have calendar on my website that you can get to. Oh, an easier one, meetwithbecky.com is my calendars. Meetwithbecky.com.
If I could write that in the...
Can you write that in the thing? Because I posted in the Facebook group on my phone. I'm trying to be all technological.
No, you did great. You did great. This will be a new thing for me. Add a scene, so it's a new software I'm using here. And caption. Q&A. No, I don't see how to write it here. I've seen people do it. I'll get good at this. So you guys tell us, was this good for you? I'd love some feedback. She says, no, she can't see it. All right, Melody, we'll reach out to you in the DMs. I'm not sure because I could see it right here. Maybe if you're on your phone, you might not be able to see it that well. But we'll reach out to you, make sure you get it, okay? But if you guys have enjoyed this kind of Sunday service, let us know because it's from our heart. And it just, life is short. And there's so many things you don't know that you should know that you could have a more secure financial life to enjoy your passions and to teach your kids. That's my soapbox as well, to make sure you're teaching your kids this so that it ripples through, right? Like just like the Rockefellers did that I told you in the beginning, where they created the school system to teach us to obey and raise our hands and stay in a line and wait your turn. We want to teach you how to create your own economic independence so that you teach your children, so that we can reverse back to being the creatives that we were born to be and have the passive income for everyone to still be that kid to run around and follow their passions with the great imaginations. And who knows what's possible when you can have the capacity to just be and imagine. Okay. So I'll leave you guys with that, and lots of love to you. And we'll see you if you need us in the DM. If for some reason you guys can't get to the link, go ahead, DM us. We'll be in the show notes trying to clean that up and make sure you guys get to us. But definitely we'll see you next Sunday. Let us know.